Today we're going to talk about some specific applications of percent, and I'm talking about tax, tip. I will talk about commission as well. If you don't have materials for taking notes, pause the video and get those out now. Okay, so what is tax and tip? It's, first of all, it's always in percent form. When you shop or go out to eat, you're always going to pay a sales tax on groceries, everything you buy. You also pay a percent of tax on the money you make, so that's everywhere. When you go out to eat in restaurants, tips are custom to give your waitress and your wait staff. So let's talk about how we're going to use those, because that's, I mean, everybody shops and everybody goes out to eat at some point. Again, they're always in percent form. So you could convert the tax or tip to a decimal. Remember, you move the decimal 2 places left. And then multiply the sale amount by the tax or tip in decimal form. For example, we'll make this really easy. If I spent $20 and I wanted to tip 20%, I take this, I move the decimal, which is here, 2 places left, and you all know we've been doing that for a long time. 20% is 0.2, okay? And you're going to get a 0 placeholder, $4. Now, again, this is when you need to ask yourself, if you put your decimal in the wrong spot, let's say I put it over here on accident, is $40 a reasonable tip? Not at 20%. It's a very generous tip. And if I had accidentally put it somewhere over here and had to add a 0, 40 cents is not enough. So you would actually pay $24. $4 is a reasonable tip. We'll talk about some good tools for estimating. Hopefully you can see if you're multiplying by the 2 here, you just double your bill and play with that decimal a bit. And again, that's when you would ask yourself, whoa, $40, no, that's double my bill. That's a 200% tip, and 40 cents is a little too chintzy. So again, like I said, it was $24. So you add that tip to your original price. So even though I spent $20, I tipped $4. My total that I would give her would be $24. Now, I didn't figure out tip on that, or I'm sorry, tax. In our area, tax is about 9%. So again, you would play with that. 9% times the $20. Are you paying $180? Nope. 18? Certainly not. That's 90%. That's almost my entire bill. And again, we know how to do this. If there's 2 up here, there's 2 down there. It's $1.80. 18 cents probably wouldn't be reasonable. It'd be great if that was our tax rate, but it's not. Okay? So let's move on. We'll do some more examples. You could use the percent proportion as well. Instead of just straight up multiplying by that decimal, you could also do that fraction. Remember, 20% is 1/5. So you can multiply by the fraction, but I think converting to a decimal is probably the most likely way you're going to approach this. If it's weird amounts and you are getting confused, the percent proportion is great for everything. So the cost is the whole, which is the of on the bottom left. Tax and tip. So here's your bottom left, right? This is the cost. Tax tip rate is always the percent. And the amount of tax and tip is your is. This is how much you're going to tip, okay? So that's kind of what it'll look like. And I'll show you a better model of that. I know this sentence is very wordy and confusing. We should be familiar with that setup, though. So one thing you would do is if you are trying to set it up in the proportion and you're not sure, again, let's change our amount. Say lunch was $30. So you're going to ask yourself, what is 20% of 30? So now you have your is, you have your of, whoops, I wrote over the of. You know it's over 100 and you know your percent is 20 because there is that. And again, just go ahead and code your sentence, underline, square, circle, wiggly underline, you know, however you want to do that. And then you're going to use your means and extremes to find the answer to that. And I would have divide both sides by 100. Obviously, 600 divided by 100 is $6. Okay, so again, remember how I said just double that and adjust your decimal to make it appropriate amount. 6 cents, not enough. 60 cents, not enough. $60, very generous tipper. I'm sure they will take care of you very well next time you're in. So again, we're really not learning anything new here. We've been finding percent of a number. This is just how to apply it to the real world. Let's try this example. If dinner was, say, $52, find the amount of tax and tip to determine your total bill. If you want to pause this video and try that example, here's one thing you need to know. Finding tax and tip on the same amount are two totally different problems. Remember before I did the tip of 20% on $20, found out that I would give her $4, but then we went and multiplied not $20, we multiplied 20. So what you're going to do is multiply that 52. We're going to say tax is 9% and tip is 20. Treat this again like two different problems, finding tax and tip only on that original amount of $52. Okay, so you can pause the video now and work that out for yourself. Okay, so in this part, I'm going to multiply it. I'm going to use my decimal because that's just kind of easy. Okay, 18, and then, so my total bill, that's the question, is going to be $52.40 plus $4.68. Okay. That is how you would find tax and tip. Now, you don't tip on the amount with tax, and you'll get your receipt and you can see your amount before tax, so you can figure that out. This is what you would ask yourself if you wanted to use the proportion. What is 9% of, goes down there, 52. And again, what is 20% of 52? And you would use your means and extremes and solve that equation to find your amounts. Add them back to the original amount of $52 to find out what your total bill is going to be. Now, most of us aren't going to go into a restaurant and start using a proportion to solve. Now, if you do that, if you are out to dinner with your parents, ask them if you can see the bill and estimate tip on your own. Just tell them you need to start calculating the tip, or tell them to give you the total amount of the bill without tax, and you can see if you come close. Again, tax in Lafayette is about 9%. So if you want to estimate, you can do it by rounding, certainly. Tip is usually 20%. You can round your bill. Again, if it was $52, I might think $50, and then just kind of round up a little bit, just so I'm not too stingy. Or, like I said, just double that amount. 52 times 10, or I'm sorry, 52 times 2 is 104, as you can see up here. And I just played with that decimal. It's 104. I'm not tipping $104, though. I'm not that rich. Okay? In Lafayette, here it's about 9%. So you would just round up to 10. And that's really easy. I know you guys are really good at finding 10% of things. You just bump the decimal once. Okay? So if lunch was $38.57, let's use rounding just to estimate. You want to know how much you're going to spend. Okay? Maybe being able to round for tax is good if you're saving up for something. Sometimes we're saving our money to buy, maybe a new video game or something we really want. And we know that item is $38.57, and you go to the store and you plop down your $38 and your 57 cents, and then the cashier tells you it's a couple bucks more than that. So let's not let that happen. Let's find out how much it's going to be. Again, I'm talking about lunch, so we're going to find tax and tip. So what I would do is I would start with rounding the bill itself. Okay, so why don't you pause the video and try to find out your total bill. Okay, for the sake of making life easy, I'm going to say it was 40 bucks. I'm going to find out my tip, 20%. If I double that, thinking $8 is a good tip because 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, tax, if I do 10%, that's going to be about another $4. Okay, so I can look to spend, now my $38 lunch has rounded up another $12. And so if I'm going to lunch and I see my menu items might come to about $40, I want to make sure that I have about 52 bucks. Why 52? Well, if you didn't notice, 8 plus 4 is 12. I'm going to need a little more cash than the actual bill itself. Again, you would ask yourself, if you wanted to do the proportion, what is, to find the actual amount, what is 20% of 38.57? Okay. Use your means and extremes to solve that. Again, with tax, instead of 20, up here you might have 0.9. Ooh, not 90%, 0.09. I think it might be 9.5% now. So 9.5%, again, you bump twice. That's why I did that. Let's talk about commission for a second. It's not necessarily a word you're likely to be familiar with. It's like a tip, but it's always given. It's built in. People in sales jobs get that. Realtors, if you sell a house, certainly you get like a salary, but you get a commission. You get a little extra. Like if you sell a house here, you get a little bonus. You get a little perk. You get 3% of the sale of that house. So it just helps people to be motivated to sell their product. So let's take a look. If I'm a car salesman and I sell a car for $22,000, let's say I get 4% commission. How much should I earn just by selling that one car? So why don't you use one of the techniques you like? Again, commission is just like a tip, so it's always in percent form. How much should I earn? Pause the video and find out. Okay, I chose the easy way. Okay. Here's the thing. 22 times 4 is 88. Now I have to play with some zeros, don't I? And some decimals. Am I going to get $88? Am I going to get 88,000? Certainly not. No. And again, there's 1, 2. I'm going to get $880. That's generous. That would make you want to sell a car, right? Well, that's the point. They get their salespeople really interested in what they're doing. They learn about the product they're selling, and so they have to convince people to buy it. Again, if you want to use the proportion, you would ask, what is 4% of 22,000? Okay. What if I said, ooh, I earned $650 commission and I get 5%. How are you going to figure that out? How much? What value am I missing? I'm missing the total cost, right? So here we go. This is how you read this. $650 is 5% of what? There you go. You can figure out how much that vehicle was that I sold by using your means and extremes. Now you don't really have to do hard math here. You just tack on 3 zeros. That's not the cost of a car. Not yet. What's 65 divided by 5? Okay. That was a $13,000 car. If you have any further questions about tax or a tip, you can email me or we will discuss it in class tomorrow.